on this one, content warning, okay? So, folks, many of you know, and if you've been keeping track of like conservative policies in, conservative states regarding trans kids, many of you may know of something colloquially called genital inspections or genital inspectors or the bathroom police. Um, and well, I don't really know how to put this, but basically, both the House and the Senate in West Virginia have advanced a piece of legislation that would uh, require genital inspections for anyone suspected of being trans in their schools. Um, so if you're wondering like if that's all nonsense, it's not. Like we talk about it and we say it and it kind of sounds like a joke, like a genital inspector. That sounds insane. Unironically here, folks, we're talking about the Republican Party. And I also want to emphasize one state legislator who's a Democrat overwhelmingly voted to advance this legislation. Okay? GOP lawmakers passed bill allowing child genital exams without parental consent. Meaning that if someone at the school believes that your child is trans, someone at the school is allowed to pull down their pants and both visually and physically inspect their genitals. Understand what this means. This is a bill that allows for the sexual assault of your child in West Virginia schools. Because someone looks at them and thinks, oh, they're trans. That's what this is. Okay? It is honestly one of the and I got to be honest with you guys. There's a decent chance that the governor of West Virginia signs this into law. Okay? There's a decent chance that this becomes law of the land in West Virginia. And you want to know something? I genuinely I do not believe Republicans in West Virginia want their children's genitals visually and physically inspected without their consent. This is political hysteria nonsense. A literal witch hunt unfolding before our eyes. And I genuinely don't think like Republicans in these states think that it will ever affect them until suddenly one day they come home from work and they find out their child had their genitals physically inspected against their will at school. So this is Senate Bill 456, defines sex based on whether a person produces eggs or sperm. It says that gender segregated spaces like locker rooms or restrooms are to be used based on a person's sex assigned at birth, and it leaves no room for trans or non binary people's identities. It also says that all intersex people are either male or female, but does not give a basis for assigning a sex to them. So if you're intersex, you just can't legally use a bathroom in a school in West Virginia. So I hope if you have a genetic disposition towards being intersex, which is about as common as having red hair, you just won't be able to use the bathroom. So that's a really cool thing for Republicans to try and put into law in West Virginia. Now, I guess to the credit of the Republicans, and honestly, fuck every single one of them. They looked at the original text of the bill and said, maybe this is too far. Because the original text of the bill basically laid out that if a child was suspected of being trans, a teacher would be allowed to visually and physically inspect the genitals of a suspected child trans, suspected transgender child, right? And Republicans looked at that and said, this is maybe a little bit too messed up. So they rewrote it to say that the child's treating healthcare provider will be required to examine a child's genitals without the consent of their parents. And while that might sound marginally better, understand that it's not talking about like their primary care physician or who they go to the doctor with their parents. It means like the school nurse. It means the school, like the school nurse or like coach or like, you know, like that those are the people on hand who are the treating healthcare providers at the time in the school that the school can have access to. Yeah, like it does not improve the text of the bill that much because again, there's a lot of loose interpretation about who and what the treating healthcare provider would need to be, you know? Nope, I'd be suing the school and the state. And if this does become law, it will instantly be brought to the courts because like this is actually fucking crazy, you know? And to the credit of Democrats in West Virginia, they did try and put an amendment in there that would ban child and adult genital examinations altogether, but that was voted down. So yeah, the Senate bill passed in a vote 32-1. Only one state senator in West Virginia voted against the child molestation bill that they passed. There were only there are only 3 Democrats in the body. One of them, I guess, was out sick that day. The other one voted with Republicans, and only one state senator, Joey Garcia, voted against it. Understand, guys, like, this is not going to affect just trans kids. This is going to affect all kids in West Virginia schools. This is going to affect all children in West Virginia. And in fact, most often it is going to affect cisgender children. So, like, if you're sitting there and you're a conservative and you're like, well, it won't affect my kid, you don't know that. You don't know if, like, a teacher one day is going to be like, you know what, your kid looks a little bit too trans. Looks like they've been on some puberty blockers, maybe. Off to the genital inspector with you. It is disgusting to a degree I am finding difficult putting into words. It is currently sitting on Governor Patrick Morrisey's desk waiting for a signature. If you would like to potentially push back, like try and influence the outcome, um, here is the web page for the office of the governor. It includes phone numbers where you can call. And I would encourage you to do so if you are so inclined. Oh, wait, 1 second. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh, nope, too late, actually. Earlier today, that bill was signed. The piece we were going over earlier is from yesterday. Earlier today, the governor of West Virginia signed a bill that allows children to be molested in West Virginia schools. So that's where we're at. Republican politicians are literally engaging in the act of allowing children to be molested by whoever is deemed to be a treating medical person at the school, you know, whether they're a coach or yeah, this is the law. And of course, it's the Riley Gaines Act because, of course, the pro child molestation bill would be named after a cis woman who came in fifth in a race in a college swim meet. You know, someone who definitely needs a bill named after them. Well, I think every single Democrat in West Virginia needs to run on this. Like this is why Democrats really should plant their flag in the sand and like stand up for trans rights because on the face of it, anti-trans legislation leads to absolutely heinous outcomes for their people and constituents. If you grant these conservatives any shred of ground when it comes to anti-trans legislation, it opens up a world of horrific outcomes. Well, Riley Ray, I'm going to imagine that the courts that this is going to be taken to the court almost instantly. Either just people are going to challenge this in court um on the face of it, or the second someone is negatively impacted by this law, it's going to go to court. It's possible you get it like a preliminary injunction to stop it from being enforced, and then like it's a legal battle until the end, you know? So that's kind of where we're at with that. That is it's a cold comfort to be sure when every branch of the West Virginian government voted to allow children to, without their parents' consent, have their genitals inspected on the whim of someone who suspects them of perhaps being a different gender than what they think they should be. It's messed up. Like, I mean, even like honestly, even if you're transphobic as hell, it should be obvious on the face of it why this type of legislation is bad. Like, but like it's crazy, you know? It's just crazy.